Hi you guys, so I'm going to talk to you about the 3 things that you want to think of if you're thinking about starting a new yoga practice, or if you're thinking about changing. If you have been practicing for a long time, it's a great way to take a peek at, to kind of step back and see where your practice is going and see, is it stagnant? Am I growing? Should I add some change or variation to my practice? So these are my top 3 things that you should look at when you're considering that. Okay, the second thing that you want to look for in a style, if you're looking to find a style of yoga that works for you or that speaks to you and helps you grow, is does that teacher, that space, that style of yoga incorporate some kind of silence, mindfulness, and meditation component to it? So most of the classes that we go to in the West, for example, in the Western world, are calisthenics, really. They're just yoga postures put together in different formulas, different ways, different methods, different lineages that get handed down. But most of them, really, if you walk into the average class, you get from beginning to end maybe a tiny little slice in Shavasana, or maybe a little bit in the breath work at the beginning of something, a little slice of quiet, a little slice of peace. Yoga is this much about the asanas, the down dogs, the triangles, warrior poses. And then the rest of yoga is this much about getting quiet, meditating, working on your own shit, working on your ego, working on your habits, working on all that. So what we get when we go into the Western traditional yoga studio or class is this. And this physical part is beautiful. It's an entry point. First of all, if you can't get in your body and feel the juiciness and the breath flow through it and the strength and the heat and the flexibility, that's why you do the postures. That's why the asanas were created, so that you could sit for an entire hour at a time or 2 hours at a time and meditate and be able to have the physical stamina to do that. And the entry point into the body is a beautiful entry point, but at some point you're going to get stuck and stagnant there. So you want a practice that will open up this whole 95% of the spectrum to you. Mind, body, meditation, working on the ego, working on your own habits, learning to see truths about yourself and learning to incorporate them and work on them and make those changes, body, mind, and spirit, to see how to quail this busy mind, how to quail that funky ego, all those things. So if you walk into a studio and you're practicing, it's okay in the beginning. You get into the asanas and the breath and you kind of get, oh, this is what yoga is, and I feel great and I'm starting to feel changes in my body. But you will at some point reach a point where if you're not delving into the other 90%, you're missing out on 95% of what yoga is. So when you go into a class, if the instructor doesn't give you time at the beginning and at least in the end and maybe some points in the middle for just complete silence, you need that silence to be able to sit in silence, then do it for yourself. Carve it out. Just lay on that mat in Shavasana for an extra 5 minutes at the end. Or find a different practice or practitioner that does incorporate more mindfulness and meditation techniques. Or you can do that physical practice, an asana practice with that instructor, and then go out and find and seek a method of meditation that works for you. But don't forget that that's 95% of the practice of yoga. What we're doing in the West is this little tiny sliver. It's a great little sliver. It's just a little bit. It's just a little window. So explore, open up that window. That's tip number 2.